Welcome to the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Sahlen's Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. It is so good to have every single one of you guys joining us here this evening as we're getting ready to talk about some more Buffalo Bills football. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. That guy sitting next to me is John Fina, former Buffalo Bills left tackle John Fina. You can find him on Twitter at John Fina. It is so good to have, as I said, every one of you joining us. Welcome to those of you in the comment section. Whatever platform you are consuming this production on, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Help us get our metrics up, help us get the word out, all that good stuff. We love having you guys join us live. We love those of you that listen to us in post, in the car, around a cup of coffee, all that good stuff. As you know, my goodness, John, I'm almost out of breath. John, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. The pads went on today, Joe. How exciting.
The pads absolutely went on today. A lot of good stuff just around camp to talk about before we kind of get started. To your point, Sean McDermott's message today, I don't know if you watched the presser, was I want to see nasty physical football, but I don't want to see disrespect for a man's career or dirty football. I was surprised. I don't know if you listened to or read his comments. I was surprised by that. I want to see nasty physical. That just doesn't seem like a Sean McDermott quip to me. Nasty physical football.
Well, I can promise you, Joe Miller, that he says that a lot. And this is the first time that he said it for public consumption, because that's what we talk about. We talk about getting people's grill, getting the testosterone flowing, exerting your toughness, your pressure on the other guy. It's a learned trait, and you got to be able to turn it on like a light switch. So it's kind of cool to hear him say it in public, but that's what football is. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, for sure. And he had a couple more comments today, just as he kind of finished that. That's not how we play football in Buffalo. We painted a pretty clear picture this morning coming off of Alec Anderson being thrown out of practice on, what was it, Friday, I believe was the day he got thrown out, or Saturday. The nastiness has to be developed here, but it can't be at the expense of someone's career. Be clean, but be physical at the same time. And then he just, there's just a lot to be said for kind of setting that tone in camp. And how do you go about setting that nasty, hard football tone in camp when it's still camp?
Joe, it's completely natural, especially for offensive linemen, because you come off the first few days with no pads or the spider pads, whatever the hell they call them. Mm-hmm. And the defensive guys just think they're getting in the backfield. They think they're tough. And you just got 3 to 5 days of pent up frustration. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as you mash heads with somebody and they give you a little guff, you're not going to back down. You let them have it for 3 to 5 days. And now you're just like, hey, you know what? You got something to say? Let's go right now. And, we always used to say it's not a successful training camp until there's a fight. So I don't know what Alec did. It doesn't surprise me. I know him. He's awesome. Former teammate of Bruno's at UCLA, and just a fun-loving guy, but tough, mean, and he's not going to take any guff from anybody.
Yeah, Sean McDermott did talk a little bit about that as well. He just basically, if I'm paraphrasing, said, love Alec Anderson, one of my favorite players, but we just can't have that type of stuff. So felt like he just kind of
okay, all right. That's fair. You can't have that type of stuff. But man, when your testosterone and your adrenaline is pumping at like 5,000 PSI, and there's no whole, one thing begets the next. I mean, it gets a little out of control.
Very much so.
It starts out fairly contentious, and then if it just builds, sometimes it's hard to put the brakes on, man. These are big hombres with a lot of testosterone.
Big dudes. Before we get around the rest of training camp and then talk about the topic of the show, which is David Edwards, David Edwards. I was reading an article about Mike Edwards today, who apparently collapsed at training camp today. But before we talk about David Edwards, why don't you talk about our show sponsor here, Sahlen's, for us real quick.
Yeah, I got to say, we are so proud to have Sahlen's as a partner for the Overreaction Sports Network. If you want all natural hot dogs, if you want to be able to order them online at Sahlen.com, if you want a company that's been in business for 150 years, 5 generations and that is an approved retailer at over 13,000 locations. I mean, come on. You got to not wish your summer away. You got to fire up the barbecue, put the Sahlens on. I like all kinds of dogs. I don't go straight line, sauerkraut or Chicago style. You just give me a hot dog, put whatever you want on it, but make sure you put a high quality Sahlen hot dog on it. Don't forget their deli meats. Great representation of Buffalo.
Yeah, trusted in Buffalo since 1869, and now shipping nationwide, so trusted everywhere. And when Jerry and I came down to visit you in Tucson a couple months ago, we can attest that the whole shipping of the hot dogs thing works, because they shipped us a little care package down there, and we grilled up. What did we grill up? Like 16 hot dogs. We cooked a whole bunch, made a whole bunch of different hot dogs.
Yeah, it's still live on Twitter. You want to go back and check out my hot dog skills? We had a great time. I still have some in the freezer. I'm not wishing my summer away because it's mostly 11 and a half months a year in Arizona. So it's hot dog season all the time. It's hot dog season in Buffalo. Break out the barbecue. Go Sahlens.
Yes, awesome. Appreciate Sahlens. Now, getting back to training camp and the Buffalo Bills. So the pads did officially go on. I reported yesterday based off of something that I heard that the pads went on yesterday. They did not. They actually went on today. And I think things were spirited. There was a lot of good stuff. There was the defensive line, from all reports from camp today, still had a pretty good day today as far as that goes. Again, as I said, Mike Edwards actually apparently collapsed from what we can ascertain is or assume is heat exhaustion. I believe he's fine. I don't think anything I'm not sure if he walked off. I know they got him back to his feet. Again, I wasn't there today. Wide receivers are falling out like crazy. Dalton Kincaid back on the injury list today. Elijah Moore didn't practice again today. Is it just that time of year, John, or is this something? When do we get concerned? I know you talked about it yesterday a little bit on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show. When do we get concerned?
Oh, you get concerned 2 to 3 weeks before the season starts. Now, what people tend to forget is training in a vacuum, which is what everybody's been doing for the past 5 months,
right,
is totally different than going one-on-one, corners and wide receivers, ends and tackles, all that kind of thing. Even Josh, your sight lines are totally different. So it takes a little bit of an adaptation, the first few days or a week and a half of training camp. And I think by and large, the format now with less hitting, one practice a day, is so much better for the longevity throughout this 17-week season than it was in our day when we had, 2 days in a row, then either a morning off and an afternoon practice. I mean, this is far better. These little knickknacks, little nicks and things of that nature should clear up. It doesn't concern me until, as I said, 3 weeks out.
Yeah, there's speculation around Dalton Kincaid's injury. Apparently, it was a collision between him and I believe Sal Capaccio reported it. It was yesterday on WGR 55. It was a collision. He was going to catch a ball. Collision between him, Matt Milano, and Cole Bishop. The three of them kind of went down like a sack of potatoes together. I don't know that he got up slow or anything like that. But then today, he's on the sideline with some knee soreness, which is in the original knee that he had the knee sprain in from last year, which obviously stunted his second year. It's odd to me to consider, when you guys played, when you and Jerry played 2-a-days, pads on, right? I mean, I know that's old school football. Like I played football too when I was in high school, not obviously as good as you guys did. I was not your guys' size, didn't have your talent level, but we went through that stuff. And it's funny because I don't remember guys getting soft tissued injured or injured as much. And I know that they're doing all this ratcheting down to protect the players, but does it sometimes work in the opposite, that the guys aren't necessarily ready for what they're doing? Are they bringing them in too slow? Are they not bringing them in fast enough? I'm searching for answers for maybe something there's no answer for.
Well, I think when you look at, by and large, right, for guys that have been in the league a while, that have 40, 50 starts,
right,
there is not a lot of upside in pushing an injury that appears to be light, but rather take the time to get them right so they can get back out. So, for example, Dalton Kincaid, of course, had some improvements to make this offseason. It's probably a light contusion somewhere around his knee. But what's the upside of going out there and pushing that and delaying the healing, even if it's a minor bump? The guy's not going to forget how to play football. So get him healthy again, get him back out there. I'm sure he's doing stuff indoors that we're not seeing. probably some things around the field, the sideline. And they take such better care of the players now. And I think it's part of the reason is the type of offensive defense that's run now is much more higher concept than it was in the 80s and 90s. Right. So you could plug and play a little bit. There was a lot less mental requirement for the playbook than I think there is now. There's a lot more formations, a lot more shifts, a lot more motion. And there's a much greater variety in the running game than there ever was before. And that takes a great mental aspect of it. So while he's not on the field, he's still in all the meetings. He's still absorbing all these types of things. You're still watching film.
Right.
And every time you watch film, if you're doing it right, you're envisioning yourself in the form of the person that's on the film in front of you.
Right.
How would I do it differently? What am I going to mimic? How am I going to beg, borrow, and steal from this guy or that guy? I'm not terribly concerned about it. They obviously know that having Dalton Kincaid, from the 13th week on is a far better bet for the Bills than to not have him for the first 6 or 7 games.
Right. I mean, we go through this every single year. We go through this like, oh my gosh, everybody's getting hurt. Right. And even with guys that get hurt and guys that are a little more hurt than maybe the way that you're describing, that are like, oh no, it's just a little soreness. There's no point in pushing it. He knows how to play football. Like, we're going to give him time to heal up. He'll be ready in 2 weeks. It's not a big deal. And it's better to be safe than sorry. Even with that, and even when you've got guys that do potentially get hurt in training camp and are gone for, a significant portion of the season, our football team still wins. But it's such a hard place for the fans, for Bills Mafia, for me to get where literally we're Jerry Seinfeld on the couch, and you hear the report, it's like, oh, ain't that a shame? when somebody goes out of practice, somebody falls down, goes out of practice. Oh, ain't that a shame? And it's like, the world is crashing.
Back when I played, you were just driving on the Youngman and you heard it on the radio and you're screaming at the damn radio, or you're reading it in the newspaper and it's a day late and you're like, what the hell's going on with my team? They're disintegrating in front of me. But now the information is so a la minute. It just comes up every second it happens that you can't help but overreact. And by the way, you're listening to the Off Tackle Show by Sahlen's John Fina Off Tackle Show.
Close, you'll get
on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Podcast. And my point of that,
Sahlen's Off Tackle.
Sahlen's Off Tackle. I'll get it right. But my point of that is you have everything in the moment, and you're able to just react. If you look at the newspaper back when we did, oh, okay, well, it happened yesterday. Let's find out what happened to him today, which we'll find out tomorrow. So you really get this opportunity to get woven into the fabric of your team, good, bad, or indifferent. But I'll tell you, Joe, when you led into this, you go back and listen. It sounded like you said Dalton Kincaid collided with Sal Capaccio, which in my mind, I just this visual, bam, there's Dalton Kincaid taking out Sal Capaccio in Rochester, New York on the sideline.
No, Sal reported that Dalton Kincaid collided with
But the way you worded it, I thought Sal went down.
Hey, look, I'm no professional. I am a hobbyist at best. We do the best we can, and we misspeak all the time. And I'm one of or my brain goes completely blank. But yes, you are tuned in to the Sahlen's Off Tackle with John Fina show, which, by the way, John, if you ever want to say it, it's right at the top of your screen. All you got to just read it from left to right. It's right.
Joe, I'm just focusing on the beauty of your countenance, man.
Like the whole thing, right to the Overreaction logo. Sahlen's Off Tackle with John Fina show, Overreaction. Like the whole thing is just right there.
There we go. Ding, ding. The gloves come off.
A little extra run for Sahlen's here on the Off Tackle Show. So good. The purpose of this episode today that we're going to be talking about, it seems like, John, to me and to everybody else, and we've talked about this off air with Jerry, and we've had conversations around it, and it's not, I don't want to say a secret, but when you look at this offensive line, we all believe that this offensive line is, we're going to say, elite, right? Like they had the best year they've had with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's best offensive line was last year. They've come a million miles from his first year in the season, where they had 9 rostered offensive linemen, and I think the second year he was on the team in 2019, 7 of those guys weren't like on the team anymore, and like 5 of them weren't even in the NFL. Like the offensive line has been revamped. Cromer is doing an amazing job with these guys. But even still, when we talk about Deion Dawkins and we talk about Connor McGovern and making the switch to center and how great he was last year and contract extension, and we talk about Osiris Torrance, the young player that he is and how great he has played, and we talk about Spencer Brown and the road grader and he sets the tone, and then it's like, yep, David Edwards, yep, he's up there too. And I feel like there's this overwhelming thought of, is there an upgrade there coming? And that's kind of how sometimes the fans and even some of the media folk sometimes have a conversation around this offensive line. And I know in this episode, I want to get your thoughts, your over the top thoughts of David Edwards, and then we'll get into some film breakdown. So yeah, let's start there. Just your thoughts after studying David Edwards and watching him for last season, I guess.
Well, look, there's no perfect offensive lineman, right? We all make mistakes. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. David Edwards, within what he does well, he does extremely well, and especially in the run game. Now, obviously, we have changed our offense quite a bit. I mean, we used to be a pass-heavy team. Now it runs about 50-50, but even better than that, our run game is highly successful, and that is due in part to this entire offensive line. Now, you'd ask David Edwards about it, he'd probably say, yeah, man, I don't mind being not talked about. I think some people might say, yeah, we can upgrade there. However, Joe, think about it, right? We talk about paying Torrance. We talk about paying McGovern. We got 2 tackles making, high-end money. Where does it all end? And at some point, certain trades have to be made. And, I, for one, and we'll go through the film, I, for one, am a fan. Not to say that he's a perfect guard in the league, but what he does extremely well. And additionally, if you're looking forward thinking, he's still a reasonably young player, came out of Wisconsin, which is, factory offensive line school. The guy is steeped in hand-to-hand combat. He's very highly skilled. His technique is very good, and he overcomes his limitations. So you have to look at this as, well, if we upgrade from Edwards, are we paying everybody on this offensive line in the top 10 at their position? I mean, that is just, it's undoable. So keep him out of the spotlight. Continue to groom him. Continue to work on the things where he might, have some shortcomings. But in the end, I think he's an integral piece of the success of the offensive line, and there's no question about it. Just that he doesn't get all the excitement because he doesn't have the coolest name on the offensive line, right? Like Connor McGovern sounds like a Scottish joke. Osiris Torrance sounds like it comes out of a Faulkner novel. Spencer Brown, cool name, giant guy, right? And Deion Dawkins. I mean, you go anywhere with that, and you got David Edwards.
And they've even taken the fun out of the 2 guard positions. No longer are the guards pulling and crashing the guys on the opposite side of the line. Now it's Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins coming all the way across from both sides, and those guys in the middle are just basically holding their own, which is what they're being asked to do.
Well, don't hold your breath on that. We got a nice young tight end out of Georgia Tech who could turn that guard pulling back into something to have here, right?
Nice.
And we'll get into the film right now, but just to say that if you vacate the tackle position, you create certain other gaps. When you're pulling the guard, you can block back with the center and the backside guard, and you can sort of solidify that center area. And you can also hit the hole a little bit quicker. It takes a little bit more time for the tackle to get across the formation. Be that as it may, I picked out 3 clips, all from the Jets victory early in the season, last season, because I love picking highlights against the Jets because they have a great front 6, front 7, and it's a division game. And for some reason, no matter where the Jets finish, they fight us tooth and nail. So I want to pick a game that has, Deion Dawkins, obviously, right? He sets the tone for the Jets game. Everybody on that line wants to beat those guys into submission. So I think it goes 1-1-1-1, good, not so great, good, not so great. But we'll go through them. The first one I'm going to bring up is just a backside block, right? So when you talk about servicing and quality of offensive line play, a lot of things can kind of get lost in the mix. But David Edwards is a powerful football player. So I've got him highlighted here right in the center of your screen. And before I run this, I'm just going to tell you this is the backside of a running play. And what they're doing, the combination of Deion and David is a B block, B as in boy, to that linebacker that's on the hash mark. So I'm going to run it for you. Watch what happens when David Edwards gets his hands onto the breastplate of this defensive lineman. Boom, on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's what clip after clip, whether he's successful or unsuccessful, he plays with a great deal of upper body. He sets the tone, and he plays with really good technique.
It's good.
I'll run it one more time for you. He buries this guy. Like, this guy does not have this on his highlight reel. He's a pancake, get the maple syrup. I, for one, like to tuck a fried egg in between the layers of my pancakes. So good. So that's the first clip. What he does in the run game is fantastic. He's got great patience. He has great fit, and his power is outstanding. All right, so the next one is he this is a pass play, and what happens to him here is he's going individual hand. Oh no, sorry, I got the wrong clip. But what I want to talk to you about, I just mentioned his power. This is a perfect place to freeze this. So he's got a wide 3 technique on him. He's set in pass pro, but just the power of his punch takes the defensive tackle off his feet. And that's something that not a lot of guys can do. He's long-armed. He's got great position, great technique. He fires his arms. Watch it in motion now. Wide 3, bam, just sets him outside off of his path. When he gets the punch right, he's damn near impossible to beat. It helps him. We'll see it in a clip coming up here, a couple of clips. It helps him overcome some of his shortcomings with his footwork and his athleticism. If he gets his hands on you, you're in real trouble.
It seems like that's a common theme with effectively this offensive line and Aaron Kromer. The offensive line, as Aaron Kromer kind of coaches them, that footwork isn't necessarily the most important thing that Aaron Kromer coaches. Like, to him, footwork is, I'm going to work with your footwork, and we're going to make this work.
That's true. Now, something else comes into play here. Like, if you're covering for a deficiency, that means the things that you do really well, you have to always do really well. Okay. So, better put is, if I don't have great footwork and I don't have great recovery, then every time I set on a pass play, I've got to win with the first strike. And if I don't win with the first strike, I have to have a recovery. It's either the other hand, if you're an individual hand kind of guy, or it's with footwork.
Gotcha.
And that's what we're bringing up right now.
Maybe.
It's up. It's up. It is up. All right. Wide 3 again. He stabs with the left. Okay, but his feet are misaligned. So he gets a good first stab. But you see how his left foot is a little bit pointed out. His body's turned, and he doesn't have the ability to gain depth or take depth. And the other issue is, on his strike, he doesn't come with the second hand quickly enough. So he gets the first hand on the strike. Now the left hand has got to come, but the left hand doesn't make it. You see he's really wide in his stance, and he's in a position right now that in order to move his right leg, he actually has to move his left leg first in order to get some depth. So this was a tough rep for him here. The upside is Josh gets out of the pocket, makes something happen. But again, cover for your deficiencies. That right hand works, but the left hand's got to come. Because what happens, the defensive tackle widened, and he created another rushing lane. So he's got to shut that off by width or by strike with his left arm.
I don't know. I mean, it looks, for you just keep letting that roll for a second. I don't think it's a planned exit of the pocket. You have to just, Josh Allen's feel for what's happening in front of him without his eyes being down is just unbelievable. The time that he reacts right there, and like, he barely got around David Edwards, and Josh was like, I'm gone. It's just amazing.
He sees that out of the corner of his eye. He's got a great feel. Now, this was a tough rep for David Edwards, but again, same game. I just went through a handful of plays and picked the ones that I thought, were representative of some things that he could do a little bit better. All right. Now this one is great. And this is what I was talking about. This guy from the waist up is as strong and long and tough as anybody. And typically he's got an amazing first strike at the guard position, center position. Joe, you want to get long on the snap of the ball. You don't want guys getting into your body. And Edwards does a really pretty terrific job of it most of the time. This one is a perfect example. He's got a one technique inside. All right. One technique. He's got to take away the inside. Connor McGovern is sliding to his right away from David Edwards. So there's going to be a huge gap there. So this is a tough deal for any offensive lineman. Anytime you have to get over even or inside of a defensive lineman on the snap of the ball, that's a lot of body moving parts and timing up your strike. There's a lot going on here. Well, I'm going to play it for you. Keep your eyes on his right leg and how quickly he gets long and his hands on the breastplate. Perfect strike, sits down. I don't know who that defensive end is, but he's still trying to get his jersey off. David's just holding it onto him. That's a great rep. And what makes it a really great rep is the fact that the defensive lineman has him outflanked, right? The quickest way to the quarterback, Joe, for any defensive player is inside. You got to shut off the inside, be ready. Now, if he takes that inside step and the D tackle goes out, he's got to have a recovery plan, right? And this is all split second. Play it one more time for the folks out there. There's the stab. There's the sit. There's the dance. That guy didn't get off the line of scrimmage. He's probably having lunch there right now.
Sometimes I don't have to say anything at all. That's perfect.
All right. Big guys, sometimes they get, the expression is dog in a butcher shop, right? I know me. I love going to a butcher shop. You know, I'll take the lamb, I'll take the filet. I'm walking out of there with 300 pounds of meat. I'm just going after it. Right. And the thing about playing offensive line is you have to balance that aggressive nature with patience. Okay. This one didn't work out so well for David, right? He just wants to jump this guy. That's what we say when you get on a guy quick, you jump him. So not a dissimilar alignment by the defensive tackle. So, but he's going to jump him. Watch his head. See, his head goes down. It makes it a real challenge for him.
Was that a hold? Was that a penalty? That play?
That was not a penalty.
It looked like a hold right at the end when he pulls him to the ground. Right.
It was a legit tackle on a ball carrier. That was not a penalty. All right, so let's run it again. Watch his head go down, which also hurts your strike. He misses with the inside hand. He tries to recover, but again, his footwork, right? If you can recover out of this right there, the problem is he's turning rather than dropping that foot and trying to expand and refit that right hand underneath on the breastplate. Right. And with Josh Allen, you just got to give him another half second. So this was a tough one for him, but it all started on the snap of the ball where he just went at him too quick. Right there. See how he ducks his head?
Yep.
All right.
So was it Josh that fumbled? I can't see who fumbled, so I'm just curious.
Josh did fumble. We recovered.
Gotcha.
I recovered it, actually.
Nice. Good job.
Say
Good for you.
Royal we. All right. Last clip here. Bit of a tough one here. And this one is, so we talked earlier, Joe, about when you have certain deficiencies, you have to make sure that you're perfect on other things, right? So an offensive line play, especially in pass protection, you want to keep the guy on the outside third of your body. So David's got a wide 3 technique here. On the snap of the ball, he can take a left-right step and sit down and still keep the defender on his left shoulder. I'm going to run the clip, and you tell me what you see.
Well, it looks like he guessed wrong at the top.
All right, so you say guessed wrong, right? So what we say in the industry, Joe, in the offensive line industry, is he overset him. So what happened on the snap of the ball, David took the set, he widened too much, and he gave the defensive tackle head up position on him, which basically means you give the guy a 2-way go. Okay, so the guy can go inside, he can go outside. So I'm going to freeze it right. He should have stopped, and now he's in a really bad position right now.
What is he reading there that makes him overset him like that?
Sometimes, Joe, adrenaline just gets the best of you. I would say that
So like me in a golf club is what you're talking about, right? So
yeah. I would say, and Jerry can answer in the comments, I think that his first set step is a little too wide. So if you take a big step with your left foot, physically, balance and athleticism wise, you're kind of obligated to pull that right one along with it. So you want to get your feet back underneath you. So by doing that, you end up just widening yourself, even more. So there comes the right foot.
So this is the question. The question Jerry asked is, why would you jump an overset outside when the slide is going the other way?
So exactly, and that was the final point I was going to bring up. Now, when Jerry says the slide is going the other way, for all of our listeners out there, what he's saying is that Connor McGovern is sliding to his right, so he's vacating really that A gap to work with Torrance and Spencer Brown, which puts David Edwards on an island. Mm-hmm. So what you certainly don't want to do is overset the guy and give him a two-way go. Good call, Jerry. But let's say right here on the snap of the ball, see those 2 extra steps he took? He only needed to go left, right, but instead he went left, right, left, right. That got him a little too far wide, and it put him in a position now where he's got to fight to recover, and this really is not his forte. And for all you Bills fans who are watching or listening on the radio, fear not. Josh Allen escapes, and he throws a touchdown pass on this very play, despite David Edwards struggling a little bit.
Jerry also chimes in. His number one issue in all of his sets is that he gets zero depth, or he has a lacks depth.
So I totally agree with you, Jerry. But it's his style of game, and you'd have to agree with that. David Edwards is the classic fight in a phone booth kind of guy.
Jerry loves those guys. Jerry loves those guys.
Yeah, I'm going to bring the fight to you. And Joe, just kind of running congruent with that is you have to understand where you are on the field, the alignment the guy has, the down and distance. Connor McGovern's floating away. Maybe I can soft set this guy a little bit because I have depth and I have time. Right. But those are the intricacies that I can sit here and talk about. But I know that when I was on the field and I'm sucking wind and we're running no huddle 1,000,000 miles an hour, half the time I'm just trying to keep from passing out from oxygen deprivation while looking at the guy ahead of me who wants to just rip my head off.
John Randall.
So that was Jerry's guy. John Randall, I had nothing to do with. He never came to my side of the field, which I was very happy with. I had my own problems.
Yeah, your own guys. Derek Thomas, right? He was one, right? You played against.
All right,
Derek
so
Thomas.
here's the full breakdown.
Yeah.
While David Edwards might struggle in some areas with athleticism, with recovery, what he does in the run game, and I could have put up 3 or 4 QB sneaks here where he blows defensive tackles off the ball. The guy is a dog. He is a fighter. He's got a skill set that works incredibly well for our run game. He's reliable. He's patient. He plays the angles extremely well. He gets himself in a little bit of trouble, but Joe, we all do. Is he a guy that I'd like to see starting again at left guard, especially in comparison to everybody else we see in training camp? 100%. I'm a David Edwards guy.
It's funny because when you look across this roster and rosters in general, and I don't know that there's a theory. I don't know that there's necessarily a method. I think it ebbs and flows, and I think teams adjust and they try to stay. The word is not organic, but maybe malleable in the sense of what happens year to year or over 2 years or 3 years. You can't have, like you said, top 10 players, paid players at all 5 offensive line positions, and then expect to have a number 1 wide receiver that's making $30 million a year, a number 1 running back that's making $18 million a year, a quarterback making $60 million a year, and then edge rushers making $30 million. Like, there's just not enough money to go around. So there's a measure of give and take as it pertains to, who we're going to have superstars where. Not to mention, and I think you talked about this, when you look at the guys that he's playing with, it's hard for him to potentially shine, right? Because he's playing with Mr. Personality, Deion Dawkins. He's playing with 6'8" Spencer Brown that's trucking guys all over the field. Like, it's just the nature of where he is. And it's I don't know what the word or the phrase would be. You probably have one where it's just he's just David Edwards versus Deion Dawkins and versus some of these other guys in the field. But from what you showed today, I think you're right. I don't think there's necessarily a need to upgrade there. I think he's more than capable of doing his job and what the Bills are asking him to do. And I think it benefits this team to have him on the team, right? Until they draft replacements, which is what the team does. They roll with draft picks, right?
Right. And Joe, to add to that, if you listen to some of the talk from, all the great stuff that's being posted by our colleagues and competitors on X and Instagram and things of that nature, the Bills are really trying to refine their screen game, their play action game. And that does nothing but help offensive linemen. I mean, you're like, oh, great, it's a screen. Thank God, right? After dragging your butt around in 3rd and 8 all day long, and all of a sudden you're like, a screen? I get a free play? That's awesome. I mean, I'll take a play action. I'm in, baby. I'm in.
That's funny.
So if those adaptations work, if we can insert a little bit more of that philosophy, that only makes David Edwards even a better player. And
right.
I would argue that he's probably not upset being unappreciated or underappreciated or unheralded in the media and all the circles of personality, etc. As long as when he gets into that room, Brady and Cromer, Bean and McDermott are looking at you going, you're a guy and you're doing a hell of a job. And I think I admire a guy like David Edwards because we had pretty much opposite, skill sets. Like I wasn't gonna knock a guy over on the stab. I wasn't the king of pancakes. I was more of an omelet guy. But I look at stuff like that and I look at what kind of effect that has. And he's a terrific football player. Let's brand it the way it is. Everybody that steps onto an NFL field, regardless of what you think about them personally or professionally, is in fact a world-class athlete.
100%. Absolutely true. Great job, as always, breaking down the film as we have had David Edwards under review here on the Sahlen's Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network. John, any final comments before I get us out of here?
Joe, I just get so excited. I got to say it again. It's the Sahlen's Off Tackle show with me, John Fina. And thanks to everybody listening. Thanks to everybody listening on the pod. Super exciting time to be a Bills fan. I mean, wildest dreams land, baby.
Absolutely. Love you guys. Appreciate you. For me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at Overreaction. Tune in tomorrow. Alex Brasky will be on the On the Beat program with us tomorrow live at 8 o'clock on YouTube, and then we'll drop as a pod after that. But for all of us, love you guys. Appreciate you. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.